There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.
The Tudor Dynasty Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rebecca Larson. In today's episode, we're diving into the lives of two powerful women who shaped European history. Catherine of Valois, the mother of the Tudor Dynasty, and Catherine de Medici, Queen of France and mother to 3 kings. These Catherines endured scandal, intrigue, and heartbreak, each fighting to protect their legacies in a world ruled by men. From forbidden love and royal rivals to unyielding ambition, their stories set the stage for dynasties that would change history. Join us as we uncover the resilience and tenacity of 2 queens who left their mark on the world. Catherine of Valois, the mother of the Tudor dynasty and the woman who risked everything for love. Born on the 27th of October, 1401 in Paris, Catherine was the daughter of King Charles VI of France, whose bouts of madness were infamous, and Queen Isabella of Bavaria, notorious for her scandalous affairs. Growing up, Catherine and her siblings were often overlooked. Her mother was deeply entangled in her own affairs and in efforts to find a cure for the king's madness, leaving little attention for the children. Catherine was the second born, arriving 11 years after her older sister Isabella, and 2 years before her younger brother Charles, who would become Charles VII of France. Despite the challenges of her upbringing, Catherine would go on to capture the heart of a man well below her station, risking her life, her status, and her reputation in the name of love, forever changing the course of history. Catherine married Henry V of England on the 2nd of June, 1420, a union born out of Henry's victory over the French at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. Their marriage was more than a personal alliance. It was a political strategy sealed with the Treaty of Troyes. This treaty stated that upon her father, Charles VI's death, Henry would bypass Catherine's brother Charles to become King of France. Catherine was crowned Queen of England in February 1421, and just 10 months later, she gave birth to their son, future Henry VI. But the triumph of their marriage was short-lived. In 1422, only 2 years after their wedding, Henry V died unexpectedly, most likely from dysentery, leaving Catherine a young widow with an infant son. Just 2 months after Henry V's death, Catherine's father passed away, making her infant son the king of both France and England. But Catherine, just 20 years old and full of life, wasn't content to fade quietly into the background. By 1425, rumors were swirling of an affair between Catherine and a Welshman named Owen Tudor. Owen had started at court as a page boy and rose to become keeper of the wardrobe. He came from minor nobility, making their relationship even more scandalous. Parliament took note, and in 1428 they passed an act forbidding Catherine from remarrying without the king and council's consent. But Catherine, undeterred, married Owen in secret the following year, just as her son was crowned Henry VI, King of England. Together, Catherine and Owen had 3 sons and 2 daughters, keeping their marriage a well-guarded secret until 1436. This unlikely love story between a queen and a Welsh courtier would eventually give rise to the Tudor Dynasty, changing the course of English history forever. Sadly, Catherine was forced to retire to a nunnery just outside of London, where she passed away the following year in 1437. Owen Tudor faced an even harsher fate as he was imprisoned in Newgate. But in 1438, Owen made a daring escape and went into hiding in Wales. Meanwhile, Catherine's son, Henry VI, struggled to lead. He faced mounting challenges, losing territories in France, enduring rebellions at home, and battling his own mental illness, much like his grandfather. During the 1430s and 1440s, Henry relied heavily on his advisor, William de la Pole, the Earl of Suffolk. Unfortunately, Suffolk's influence proved disastrous. He drained the royal treasury for himself and his allies, leaving Henry financially weakened and unable to fund his army. This lack of resources ultimately led to the devastating loss of Normandy in 1453, marking the end of the 100 Years' War and sealing Henry's troubled reign. By 1453, Henry VI's mental health took a severe turn for the worse, leaving a kingdom in turmoil. Richard, Duke of York, was appointed protector of the realm to manage the crisis. The following year, Henry recovered enough to reclaim his authority, but Richard of York, emboldened by his newfound power and strong claim through his grandfather, Edmund, Duke of York, the second son of Edward III, now set his sights on the throne. This sparked the Wars of the Roses, pitting the houses of York and Lancaster against each other. Though Richard was eventually killed in battle, his son, Edward IV, took up his cause, leading the Yorkist faction with determination. Owen Tudor, ever loyal to the Lancastrians and Henry VI, rallied an army to support the king. He gained substantial support, but was captured by Yorkist forces at the Battle of Mortimer's Cross in February 1461. Tragically, Owen was later beheaded in the Hereford marketplace, marking the end of his fight but securing his legacy in the story of the Tudor dynasty. The eldest son of Catherine and Owen Tudor was Edmund Tudor, later known as the Earl of Richmond. After Catherine retired to a nunnery, Edmund and his brother Jasper were placed under the care of Catherine de la Pole. In 1442, their half-brother, King Henry VI, took over their upbringing, seeming to show a genuine fondness for his Tudor kin. He knighted Edmund in 1449 and granted him the title of Earl of Richmond in 1453. In 1455, Edmund married Lady Margaret Beaufort, a young woman of notable lineage as the great-granddaughter of Catherine Swynford and John of Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, Catherine being Gaunt's third wife. Margaret would give Edmund one child, a son named Henry, who would go on to change the course of English history. In 1485, Henry would seize the throne as King Henry VII, bringing an end to the Wars of the Roses by uniting the warring houses through his marriage to Elizabeth of York.
You know when you reach that age where everyone and their mother won't shut up about their credit scores, yet it seems like no one really understands what's so special about those 3 random numbers? That's because credit scores are meaningless, unless you have Credit Karma to show you how to use them. We use those 3 random numbers, plus your financial profile, to help you find your next opportunity. Like a more rewarding credit card, a game plan that helps you pay down debt faster, or a personal loan to help you save more on interest payments each month. Cha-ching! Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
As Catherine of Valois passed from the world stage, her legacy lived on in the Tudor dynasty she founded, a dynasty born from her courage to follow her heart despite scandal and opposition. Now we shift to another remarkable Catherine, who shared similar strengths but faced unique challenges of her own. Catherine de Medici, Queen of France. Much like Valois, de Medici's life was marked by political strife, personal betrayal, and relentless determination to secure her children's futures. Let's journey to Renaissance France, where Catherine de Medici, too, would navigate an unforgiving world, shaping the history of her own dynasty. The Medici family. Powerful, ruthless, and legendary. For centuries, they ruled over Florence and Tuscany, their influence stretching from the 15th to 18th century. This dynasty carved its way across Europe, leaving an indelible mark on history. Rising to positions as popes and royalty, the Medicis shaped the course of politics, art, and religion. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, it's hard to turn a page without encountering the name Medici, a family synonymous with power and legacy. Born in Florence, Italy on the 13th of April, 1519, Catherine de Medici was destined for a life of power and intrigue, often remembered as ruthless and unyielding. She was the daughter of Lorenzo de Medici and his wife, Madeline. Tragically, Catherine's mother died just 2 weeks after her birth, followed by her father shortly after, leaving her an orphan. At 14, Catherine's fate was sealed by her influential uncle, Pope Clement VII, who arranged her marriage to Prince Henry, Duke of Orleans, the second son of King Francis I of France. On the 28th of October, 1533, Catherine de Medici became a French princess, a role that would launch her into a turbulent life at the heart of the French court. Their marriage was anything but happy. Henry had a lifelong mistress, Diane de Poitiers, one of Catherine's ladies-in-waiting and her cousin, who captured his heart and dominated his affections. Diane ruled Henry's bed and his heart for their entire marriage. While Catherine would go on to bear him 10 children, their first was not born until 11 years after their wedding. Catherine's life became a constant struggle to secure her place as Henry's wife. Diane de Poitiers entered the French court at just 16 as a lady-in-waiting to Henry's mother, Louise of Savoy. Known for her breathtaking beauty, Diane married into a man 36 years her senior. Despite their significant age gap, the couple was married for 16 years and had 2 daughters. Her husband's death in 1531 left Diane a widow, and eventually she caught the eye of young Henry, who was 20 years her junior. Having lost his mother at age 5, Henry found in Diane not only a mentor, but eventually a lover, creating a lifelong bond that would challenge Catherine's role as his wife and queen. When Henry's older brother, Francis III, Duke of Brittany, died, Henry became heir to the French throne, positioning Catherine as the future queen. Henry would ascend to the throne on his 28th birthday on the 31st of March, 1547. But despite Catherine's new title, she still found herself overshadowed. Henry's devotion to Diane was so strong that Diane effectively held the role of queen, minus the official title. While it was typical for kings to have multiple mistresses, Henry remained singularly devoted to Diane, giving her time to establish herself as a near-royal presence in court. The court buzzed with gossip about the love triangle, as Diane's influence was unmistakable. Henry even signed official documents with the joint signature Henry-Diane, and designed an insignia that appeared, at first glance, to honor Catherine with 2 interlocking C's around an H. But many saw it differently, as 2 D's crossing through an H, a tribute to Diane instead. This deep bond with Diane left Catherine continuously struggling to assert her place as queen, even as the official consort of France. Henry and Diane's love affair spanned 25 years. Meanwhile, Catherine, first as Queen of France and later as Queen Mother, faced her own share of rumors about alleged affairs, though none were ever proven. On the 30th of June, 1559, Henry was fatally injured in a jousting accident during celebrations, after ending centuries of conflict between France, England, and Spain. In a telling detail, Henry wore Diane's signature colors, black and white, as he rode into the tournament. A blow to the head proved fatal, and he died 11 days later. After Henry's death, Catherine moved swiftly, ordering Diane to return all the crown jewels Henry had gifted her over the years. Diane withdrew to her estate in northern France, where she would remain until her death in 1566. Catherine, now the widowed queen, rose to prominence and went on to guide 3 of her sons to the French throne, wielding power and influence over a turbulent period in France's history. She may have been a formidable woman, but Catherine de Medici, like her predecessor Catherine of Valois, did what she had to survive. Both women learned early on that the world would be unkind to them. Each was married off to men they barely knew, like so many women used as political pawns throughout history. Yet both Catherines found ways to shape their destinies. Catherine of Valois found love in Owen Tudor, a union that ultimately led to the powerful Tudor Dynasty. After many agonizing years, Catherine de Medici finally ousted Diane de Poitiers from court, reclaiming her place and securing her influence. Each raised children who would play significant roles in history. Valois' son, Henry VI, became King of England, while Medici's 3 sons each took their turn on the French throne. Both women ruled not only for their countries, but fiercely for their children and legacies. Well, that concludes another episode of the Tudors Dynasty podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show and would like to show your support, please consider becoming a patron over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Tudors Dynasty. As a patron, you'll get commercial-free episodes, early access, some patron-exclusive content, and even discounts on upcoming webinars and lectures. Head on over to Patreon today to find out more information. And for as little as $3 a month, you can show your support. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.
The Tudors Dynasty Podcast.